Touted as one of the rising talents of the modern hardcore scene, there is far more to this band than just hardcore. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Mixing elements of death metal, Dillinger Escape Plan, Converge, Gojira and Chimera, as well as Deftones and Korn. This is Vain with Errorzone. Whoa! No proper intro today, as I don't actually have a physical copy. You can definitely get a vinyl edition through Amazon, but I haven't been able to find a CD copy, whether that's because there isn't one or because there's such a hype surrounding this band at the moment. I'm wondering if they didn't get as much stock in as they should have. So you couldn't find a copy. Just a few quick bits before I get into the actual review itself. Of course, a lot of you would have already heard by now of the tragic passing of Vinnie Paul. I didn't want to do a video specifically for it. I don't know, it seems quite kind of exploitative in a way to take. I'm always a bit wary of people who take advantage of that sort of thing. I haven't done a classic album review in quite a long time. So what I am going to do is next week I'm going to be doing a review for Vulgar Display of Power. So yeah, out of respect to both the Abbott brothers, I'm going to do a classic album review of that next week in honour of Vinnie Paul. Rest in peace, sir. You will be missed. And what else? And secondly, to everybody who sent me get well wishes because of my old man back. The back is still not quite 100%, but I'd say it's far more late middle age back as opposed to old man. Thanks to codeine, lovely codeine. Yes, codeine. I'm kind of getting back on track. Gorgeous codeine. Still a bit shite, but getting there. Delicious, delicious codeine. Sitting down seems to be the main thing. Have you got any codeine? Does anyone give a fuck anyway? Ugh. Can I please have some codeine? As an Englandshire person, I am not used to said weather. It does not well for my Celtic skin. What you need is codeine. Codeine's great. Vain are a quintet, a hardcore quintet, or at least that's what they're labelled as, from Boston, Massachusetts, and they're pretty much being touted around as one of these bands to watch, much in the same vein as bands like Code Orange. I'm kind of getting a bit confused with some of the modern definitions of what things are. This is far more in line with metal than it is with hardcore, I think. Same with Code Orange, to be honest with you. There are certainly elements of it, maybe with some of the riffs and breakdowns and whatever, but ultimately there's a lot of technicality going on in here. But much like Code Orange, they're certainly pushing the boundaries of what can be done. So Oppressive Sun, even more bugs than usual, still got a bad back, and codeine withdrawal. This is going to be a fun one. Sucks. I would say this band has far more in common with, say, Dillinger Escape Plan and Converge, and there's definitely elements of early Slipknot, Gojira, even Chimera, and Deftones and Korn as well. I've kind of found elements of that. I know that they're a huge fan of Korn, or at least they were back in the day. Very effects heavy in terms of the guitars, very reminiscent of Korn. As far as I can make out, this is the band's first full length. They've done a bunch of demo stuff and they've done some split EPs. One thing I will say, it was quite difficult for me to make out a lot of the lyrics, a lot of the vocals. A lot of it is done in a very harsh style. Some of it quite full on death metal, some of it reminded me a little bit actually of Johnny Marrow from Iron Monkey. Not quite as harsh, but not far off, so it's hard to get any lyrics out of it. But Jesus Christ, look at this. Ugh. This is going to be another miserable fucking review, this one. When aren't they? Anthony DiDio, he is the frontman. The broad theme of the album is very introspective. It's really looking within and reshaping your perception of yourself and what's around you, and gaining a new sort of power from it. Viewing the outside and the inside differently, finding the beauty underneath the darkness and using it as a weapon. So I get the feeling, like a lot of hardcore tinged themes, it's kind of rising from oppression. Doing a review regardless of conditions or back ailments or codeine. Okay, starting off, we've got Virus Vibrance. Very Slipknot style opening with a kind of siren type sounds and drum and bass kind of percussion mixed up with a lot of that Dillinger Escape Plan kind of discordance. It's a very hectic sounding album. That's for damn sure. It's not an easy listening album by any stretch. It's a half hour long. I think it's about 11 songs. And most of them are at the 2 minute mark. Most of them fly by. There's certainly no fat on this album whatsoever. It's pretty much straight to the point, get on with it, let's do this. Yeah, along with Dillinger, there's a chimera aspect to it, kind of more in the I don't know what this is. It's not the keyboards, but a lot of the sampling and all that sort of stuff that goes on. A lot of the ambience that goes on in the background of the track very much reminds me of some chimera. Everything's just fucked. And Didio says of this song, I wanted it to be really bright and blown out. I wanted every colour to be very vibrant. Our friend who was in the video, there's a video for it, I just wanted him to freak out and cut his eye out. That relates back to shaping perception. It's just a visual assault. I haven't seen the video, but I'm gonna have to check that fucker out. Old data in a dead machine. Data, 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 codeine. Now, it's worth mentioning straight away that the drummer is a fucking beast on this album. I haven't actually been able to find out too much about them. There's very little written about them. They don't have a Wikipedia page yet or anything like that. They're pretty much one of those bands that well, they've been around for a while, but they seem to be blowing up at the moment. But yeah, the drummer is fucking on point. Pretty solid musicianship right the way through, to be fair. Starts out with a real frenzied, frantic guitar and drum line, and also use much more sludgy, slower, doom-laden kind of chugging, down-picked riffs. And there's one hell of a breakdown section in this. A lot of breakdowns throughout the album, actually, and they do them very, very well. Do you imagine their blood inside your head? As far as I know, they're already dead, caught up in a comfortable lie, so why aren't you alive yet? Rebirth Protocol is up next. And here we have some more Slipknot-inspired riffage, and a real nice groove on this one. This is dissension, this is regression, this is all that you are programmed to be afraid of. Didio says of this one, it's all very self-aware rather than hopeless. Again, I'd love to be able to break down some of the lyrics for you, but there's only a few that I've got. Stop apologising, Ben. If I had codeine, I'd be much better. I went for a pee and I think something bit me dinkly dankly. Okay, I think there might have been some issues with the fucking sound on some of that stuff back there, so reconvening back here again. I'm going to speed things up a little bit now because of without the lyrics I don't have a huge amount to say about some of the songs, so I'll just break them down a bit smaller into bite-sized chunks. Broken Glass Complexion is up next. This has got some straight out death and black metal instrumentation, along with some of the very effect heavy guitars that I mentioned earlier. That's kind of very reminiscent of Korn. Anesthesia starts out with a kind of distorted alarm. Day in, day out, day in, day out. I don't want to be like this. I don't want to be like this. A lot of elements of Gojira in that one. An old man approaches. No, that's you twat. Demise Automation is up next. Very Dillinger sounding. Didio says of this one, it's where you feel the lowest of the low, he says. Like you're frozen in time and depression. So that's a cheery fucking one. Another great breakdown section in this one as well. Doom Tech. This was a good one, nearly 5 minutes long, the longest song on the album. Very Slipknot elements in it, but has this really nice mid-paced, down-tuned, down-picked, chuggerlicious riff that dominates a lot of the song. Really enjoyed this one, had a really good groove that you can just really get into, and it kept returning to it. Fucking great. Also, there was some of his vocals reminded me a bit of Chino Marino at his most expressive, heartfelt and vulnerable. Look at you with the words, you fucking disaster. Untitled is up next. Well, if they can't be bothered to even title it, I don't see why I should review it. That'll teach me. Perhaps some codeine would tempt me to review this one. End Eternal is up next. Once again, the drummer really showing off his skills, and we get plenty of natural harmonics and blast beats thrown in as well. Errorzone, the title track, another. This is just over the 4 minute mark, so this is one of the longer songs on the album. Jesus Christ, slow down, boys. This has got tempo shifts all over the place. Tons of effects on the guitars. Again, some more use of clean vocals. Why they're labelled a hardcore band, I don't quite understand. Again, I don't know if it's just me, but a lot of the stuff that's labelled hardcore these days, I don't really see it. I see the elements of it, but it's not hardcore. And finally, we have Quitting Infinity. The intro to this very much reminds me of Machine Head's Block, with the drums kicking in, the drums. And again, some very atmospheric moments that remind me of Chimera's use of ambience in the background. So that's the album. Wish I could have said a bit more about some of the songs, but without the lyrics for me to go off, it's kind of a bit difficult. I just found it very difficult to kind of decipher what he was saying and some of the stuff. I don't have that death metal vocal decoder that Mr. Ice-T once spoke of. Yeah, it's a solid album though. 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 easy. All day, motherfucker, all day. FFB Cap, I'd just like to give you a quick shout out because you were the one who really prompted me to do a review for this album. A few people have mentioned it actually, and I've heard it in the I've heard this band is definitely getting hyped up in the media quite a lot, so it's only right that I looked at it. It just gets better with every listen. There's a hell of a lot going on, and there's people down there, so I'm going to put this away now. I'll be back Wednesday with my update, which should have been today, but I had to do this one instead. Friday I'm going to have the new Gorillaz album, so I'm really looking forward to that. Still undecided yet whether I'm going to do Florence and the Machine or Bullet for My Valentine. I'll be honest, I've never really been a big fan of Bullet for My Valentine. Yeah, I don't know about that. They've never really said much to me, to be quite honest. But either way, next Thursday I'm going to have a classic album review of Vulgar Display of Power in memory of the great Vinnie Paul and of course his brother Dimebag. So yes, if you like, if you want to comment, I mean, if you're going to do all this stuff regardless of whether I say it or not anyway, so